Hello, I'm Chris.
And I'm Jasmine, and we
We are
are
the
the
Velcro
Velcro
couple,
couple,
and we're here to help you with communication.
and how to argue effectively. I think we're all couples. We know for a fact we're going to argue. No one is perfect, but in order to argue successfully and both parties get their point across, it's important to A, speak your truth, B, listen before you respond. Listen, digest it, and then respond. I know me personally, sometimes I'm already like ready to go with my ammo. And so when Chris has something to say, I'm like, I don't even want to hear it. Sometimes I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. But when you do that, the person A shuts down. They don't want to hear anything you have to say because you're not listening to what they have to say. So you just wasted your time and your energy because that person did not receive it. And nor did you find out why A, they did what they did, why they don't like what you're doing, or how you can fix it. So now this whole argument is taking place and nothing's resolved. So it's important to communicate with your spouse. One big thing is communicating with people outside of your relationship. That's a biggie.
Yeah, communicating with people outside of your spouse, outside of your relationship is
Mm-hmm.
something that you shouldn't do or should do second because you don't want someone going to tell your spouse something about you or something that's going on in your relationship, before your spouse knows, or you don't want anyone to inform your spouse anything about you that you don't know. It's kind of messed up and it'll make you feel, you know, betrayed or angry or upset
Yes, because if I hear something about my husband
from someone else.
that I sleep next to every night, it would be a problem. I mean, it's a huge problem. It says that I cannot communicate with my spouse. I have to outsource, and now you have multiple people in a relationship that's only meant for two people.
Yeah, and like I said, in arguing, you have to figure out some form of, of how you're going to communicate or how you're going to deal with, each situation that occurs. Because, whether that's not going to sleep angry at each other or, or whatever, but you need to figure out how you're going to deal with that situation.
Yeah, or either like code words. Sometimes you're just heated and you don't want to hear it, or this person has said something and it just has got you on a level where you can't communicate effectively. If you need to in your relationship, have a code word. It can be love, it can be butterfly, it can be whatever you want it to be, but it's a word that only you and your spouse are aware of. And if that's the case and that code word comes up, then you both know, okay, this may go somewhere else. Let's revisit. Because most times people just, it escalates for no reason because something was said that you didn't like and you just went south instead of saying, hey, listen, stop, or butterfly, or whatever your word is, and let's get back to it.
Yeah, and some things in a relationship, like if you shouldn't make threats all the time either. You shouldn't be like, all right, well, I'm leaving, or I'm going to get a divorce, or we're breaking up, or anything, because that normally doesn't go too well. 'Cause like I said, I know I'm not one to change because of this threat or something. I know a lot
That's
of people aren't
amazing.
like that. Yeah, so I'd rather you just go into the other room, go to sleep. You just be mad over there because you're not leaving anywhere. So you deal with it in the morning, or like say you might not talk that night, or you might like say you might not want to go to sleep angry or whatever, but don't leave or don't do something that you shouldn't do. Like I say, you just deal with it. Like I say, if you're angry, you deal with it.
Yeah, I know me personally, I would say like the first 5 or so years of our marriage, probably almost every argument, I'm like, yeah, I'm out. I want a divorce. I'm over it. Be by yourself. And he would completely shut down. Like, he didn't care anymore. Like, whatever. Do what you're going to do. You're going to leave, whatever. And it just always goes to another level. And 98% of the time, it wasn't divorce worthy.
Yeah,
But when you're not taught, or you don't know how to argue and you don't know how to communicate effectively, you give ultimatums, you threaten, you belittle, you name call. I mean, the list goes on and on. But you don't really feel those things. Because if this person was to actually leave, or you're not going to really leave, you just want to put that threat out, and it never goes over well ever.
Yeah, because those threats get very annoying, and you're like, well, all right then, well, do it, So
Right.
it just gets old. Like I said, you don't want to keep hearing it. They be like, all right, well, well, I'm leaving, or like, nah, you just chill. Like I say, you deal with it. If you're mad, you be mad over there on that couch or in that living room, or you go in your room, close your door. You get over it.
Yeah, and I know for me, I was never really taught how to argue. I was never really taught how to communicate. So my go-to was insults, very derogatory language, and the list goes on and on. And it's sad because those are the things that we had to go through in the beginning of our marriage when we would argue, because we didn't know, and really we learned from trial and error. We still weren't taught. We just learned that, okay, divorce is not an option. We know that. We know we want to be together. Divorce cannot come to the argument. It is not welcome here. It's not a thought process. It's not a discussion. It's not any of that. And when you learn that and you get that in your brain and you get that in your marriage, that this is not an option, you learn how to work things out. Period. Because you're not going anywhere. So we got to figure this out, because we got to live with each other for the rest of our lives. Period.
Yeah, and then though that figuring out thing, like I say, sometimes you need some time to cool off, because sometimes you don't want to talk about it, or they might catch you at a bad time where you're not hearing anything that they say, so they want to talk about it, or or get emotional or anything, and you're not emotionally available. Like I say, you don't want to hear it. You want to go chill. You want to play Madden. You want to watch TV or anything. So
Yes, that's a big thing with me. I am a communicator. When I'm feeling some type of way, I want it out. I want to talk about it, and I want to get it done, and I want to move on. And Chris is like the complete opposite. If he's not in the mood, it's not happening.
yeah, I'm
Which
not in that
only
headspace. Oh.
which only makes it worse for me, because I just want to keep like going. And so now I've learned that. Okay, by my first or second sentence, I can see if this is going to go any further or what, or if I'm going to get aggravated, and I just like, you know what, we'll talk about it later, and I move on. I've learned to pick my battles. If it's not that serious, we'll revisit.
Yeah.
So we do that now.
Yeah, so like I say, just if you need to, just take some time, relax, chill, just calm down until you revisit, because if you're not talking for a few hours, you'll be fine, because it's
And I
better than
think-
arguing.
Yeah, I think another big thing though too is a lot of people leave. I think that's the worst thing you could ever do. I'm not saying like leave and move to another place. I mean like leave the
Yeah.
home. That's like the worst thing. You leave, you go out with your friends, you leave, you go to the club, or whatever the case may be. That's never a good thing.
Oh yeah, that's not good.
It's horrible, but a lot of people do it, and that's male and female. They'll outsource, and then you telling all your friends your business. Now you're acting up because you're mad, and you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing. You're disrespecting yourself and your spouse because they didn't feel like talking, or you don't like what they said.
Yeah,
It only brings more things and tension into the relationship that's unnecessary.
Yeah, so like I say, just go in the other room, just relax, just be away from each other for a minute till you calm down. Because like I say, you'll eventually get over it. Like I say, you're going to want to smell her or kiss her or do something like that. So, you'll get over it.
I mean, you really don't have a choice when you realize that divorce is not an option. You don't have that choice. You have to do what you have to do. And you have to learn your spouse. No one can tell you how to communicate with your spouse effectively. No one can tell you how to argue with your spouse the right way. You have to figure that out. That's the basis of this video. If you know that you argue a lot, or every time you try to communicate, nothing happens, it's time to move some things around.
Yeah,
It's time to
something has
adjust.
change.
Something has to change, because a lot of people divorce a lot for communication, because this person, they feel like they don't understand you, or you didn't give it a chance because you don't realize how you may come across. Like people say I'm aggressive or whatever the case may be, blah blah. And I had to really look at that and say, okay, maybe I'm coming off too strong. Let me back up to give him a chance to talk, and it works. Is it easy? No, but we communicate better.
Yeah. And one thing you should learn to say, especially for the fellas, is to say sorry. You know, not just because you really are sorry. You just need to learn how to know that word sorry, because a lot of times you are, but sometimes you need to say it to, somewhat smooth things over.
So you be saying sorry, not sorry?
I know I say it to get it out there sometimes.
Okay. Well, that's news. Well, like I said, long as you know to say it.
And also,
I guess.
sorry doesn't always mean anything either.
No.
Because sometimes, like, man, nobody care about your sorry. You shouldn't have did it. So.
I mean, depending on the level of whatever you did, sorry definitely does not matter. And you can't make a habit of sorry either. Just don't do it. I mean, once you know how a person feels, don't revisit that.
Yeah.
Because communication definitely, if someone tells you something, they communicate their truth and their feelings and how they make them feel when you do this and you do that, and then you do it again. That's a problem.
Yeah, but like I say, getting back to the sorry thing, like I say, you're going to do things, because women are more emotional, so we're going to do things, not intentionally. Like I say, we might forget something, or might not do something, or might not, it's just remember to say sorry, apologize.
It's a learning process, but even though you say you sorry when you're not really sorry, which is shade anyway, but moving right along, if you say you're sorry and you're not sorry, at least know or try to understand why you're saying sorry if you don't fully mean it.
Yeah, you did something wrong, so.
I mean, but try to not do that again. Even if you're not really sorry. I mean, because sometimes I've said sorry or I apologize for things that I don't really feel like I did wrong. I mean, that's like 99% of the time I'm right.
But it's awesome to hear the lady say she's sorry for something.
I've worked on that. I do apologize. Do I not?
Yeah.
I do apologize when I'm sorry, but just like I said previously, 99% of the time I'm correct. But honestly, just get to know your spouse so that you can understand when they're agitated, when they're angry, when they're annoyed, when they're irritated, whatever the case may be, and just learn how to put it on the back burner, revisit it. Everything does not always require a level of 10. It doesn't.
Not at all.
It doesn't. And some things are not worth the argument. It really isn't.
And sometimes it's chill because, like I say, you might want to go and, talk about the situation, but, try to key in on your partner's feelings because they might not be into no arguments or no discussions, debates or anything. They might just want to just chill and, revisit it another time.
Especially if they don't feel like they can talk to you. Especially if they feel like they can't. Or they may be going through something they don't really understand yet, and so they don't want to communicate it with you because they don't know. And sometimes you get like that. Like I know if Chris is in a mood. With being around him 2 seconds, I know. He knows the same thing, so we move accordingly. If I'm not in the mood, give me my space. If he's not in the mood, give him his space, and we'll revisit. And most of the time, if your partner is your best friend, you will talk about it, period. It is what it is. If you're around them all the time, you're going to bring it up. It's going to come up.
Yeah, and if you feel like you can't communicate or talk to your spouse, you need to, some things need to change.
That's a huge problem, period.
Yeah.
How can you share a bed with somebody that you can't tell everything to?
Yeah.
That's a problem. So.
And then also you have to know, certain things you got to expect when you do tell them things because they're not going to always be, happy about it or
gotta appreciate the response, period. You have to be ready for whatever is going to be said.
Yeah, because you're not looking for a yes man or yes woman, someone to agree with you all the time. That's not.
It's not healthy.
Not at all.
It's not healthy. If someone's agreeing with you all the time, they are not speaking their truth. It's just, you're two different people. completely different people. You may have similarities. You may enjoy each other's company, but you operate and move differently. You're two different human beings. So it's important to understand how to coexist and still be yourself. That's going to bring forth arguments. Just, it is what it is. And they don't, new levels of life, new devils. Arguments are just what it is. That's marriage. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care who you are.
But again, marriage is pretty awesome.
Yes, it is.
So, but thank you again for joining us. You know, again, I'm Chris.
I'm Jasmine.
And we
We're
are
the
the
Vertical
Vertical
Couple. Bye.
Bye.